Hey guys, so once again, trying just to quickly run through some basic web design concepts. The next thing we're doing is creating little blocks that will go around our various sections. So we're basically going to section this whole site off into little blocks and see if we can't kind of add some things to kind of separate each object here. So I'm going to right click and once again open up this with Notepad and see if we can't kind of run through here. I might just move my text down a bit, rather move my font down a little bit so it's less big. We can kind of see a little bit more about what we're doing. I guess it's better. Okay, so once again, we're not going to add any more stuff to this. We're just going to put in some style here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate out some of our sections. And the way we do this is with the tag div. So I'm going to go below my main title, and in front of section 1, I'm going to put div. And I'm going to close out this div down here below paragraph 2 above section 2. So I'm going to have this /div right here below section 2. So once again, we see div here below section 2, above section 2, and we see the open tag div above section 1. Now if I save this, and I refresh it, nothing happens because all we've done is simply indicated that this section is in this little container called a div. Now if we want to style that div, we have to go up to our style tag up here in the head, and then we can add that as a new tag, right? So once again, it's just another tag like anything else. We just put the word div, and then again we can put background dash color, and we can change the background color to something, I don't know, somewhere along the line here. So I'm going to go back to my HTML color picker here. And I'm going to put in this value here just to kind of be on the right side. All right, so we're here. This is our background color. We can see that. And I'm going to make it just a little bit lighter. A little bit. And I'll just copy this number here. So just find a color that's a little bit lighter than your current color, and we can kind of pop that in there. I'll save that, and I'll refresh this page here. And we can see this sort of puts out there. Now, another neat thing to add in is just maybe I want this to have like a bit of like padding. Padding is essentially just pushing it away from the margins, giving it like a margin. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna put a little semicolon and put padding, and I'll put say 5 pixels. All right, which is going to push it off the side, push it off the top and the bottom. And I'll also put margin as well, margin, and I'll put like 5 pixels there as well. All right, and so this just pushes it off the side there. And essentially what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we have like a, sort of a good sort of section off for each one. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round off the corners. I'm going to say radius. I'll put that as 5 pixels as well. Radius is not the word here. Is it border radius? Oh, there it is. Okay, but it's not very it's just not very visible here. I might put maybe 10 pixels instead of 5. All right, there we go. It looks good. And then lastly, I'm going to put this phrase display, and I'll put block, and I'll also put width 25%. So watch what this does. All right, so 25%. So if I were to like make it bigger, it would be a little bit bigger here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that same div to each one of my sections. So over section 2, I'm going to put another div here. So I'll just like right here, I'll open up another div. And then above section 3, I'll close the div, and I'll open a new div. Just think about div, short for divider. Once upon a time, we used to use things like, and I'll close out this div. So now, I'm going to refresh this. All right. And I want to say putting in block makes it to where they stack on top of one another. I want to say if I got rid of that, I could probably have them line up side by side. So let's go up here and let's remove display block. Ah, I see. What we'll do is we'll say display float. Okay. Actually, no. Float is the attribute, and I want to say we're going to float it left. There we go. All right. So as we can see here, we have our sections, and they're kind of like stuck in these little columns. And if you wanted to, you could put different colors for each one. So for instance, if I wanted to have section 2 be a different color, just to kind of like separate it from the rest of it, once again, choose a different color, maybe something a little more bluish. It'll be the same general lightness, but a little bit more blue. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to copy this for now, and I'm going to go down to my code here, and I'm going to give it an ID for section 2. I'm going to say ID equals, and I'll say in quotation marks, I'll give an ID section 2, no spaces. Okay, and once again, obviously, if you make any spelling errors, it's going to kind of have a hard time reading it. So I'm going to put a little hashtag here, section 2. And I'll put my little curly bracket there, and I'll say background dash color, and I'll put in that little code there, and it lights that up, as you can see. So, so just think about this. The whole idea was what I'm thinking of is that we're trying to put into practice the idea that whenever you design something, every little step you take, every little thing you do, is going to is going to put one more thing on the plate of your developer. So the more complicated you design your site, the more stuff that goes into it. So if I want just a bunch of text, like just a blog site with a sidebar, that's one thing. If I want everything sectioned off and visible, that's a different thing. All this thing kind of comes into play. So we're just going to be kind of like doing a little bit more with this, and then we'll start into actually designing our site here. All right, very cool.